I want to start this off by saying two things. One, I'm not a great writer and have a hazy memory of all that happened. I was actually asleep when this occurred, but I wasn't at the same time. And two, this account is completely true, but you can believe what you want. I wouldn't believe it had it not happened to me. I was 8 years old at the time, and I had very vivid dreams and nightmares. I later found out that the dreams and nightmares I had weren't just dreams. To this day, I still don't understand why this happened or how. I've heard it called a few different names: astral projection, out-of-body experience, etc. The night in question led me to realize what had been happening years down the road. Keep in mind, this happened 5 years before Insidious came out, and I kind of repressed it up until seeing that movie. It wasn't the same as my encounter, but it was equally terrifying. We were a poor family, just my mother and her 3 children in a one-bedroom apartment. Her boyfriend was there occasionally too, and I'm really glad he was there that night. My brother, who was 2 to 2.5 at the time, and I shared a bed that was in our dining room. My mom had her bed in her room, and my baby sister had a crib and a walk-in closet. She would have been about 6 months old at this point. There was this stain on the wall that was reminiscent of those paintings that follow your movement with their creepy eyes. I stared at this thing on multiple occasions, wondering what in the heck could have created such a weird stain. I had this creepy feeling when I looked at it. It seemed so familiar to me. I can only describe its appearance as some sort of demonic dragon-man hybrid. The creepy red guy in Insidious had nothing on this thing, except it did share a similarity: those yellow eyes. The stain had been there a few months, and I woke up sweating and crying more and more. The night everything happened, however, I was stuck in the corner of the bedroom, very near to the ceiling. I remember looking down at my body beside my screaming brother, who was pointing to the other side of the room. The stain was on the exact other side of the wall from where this thing was. I could see my brother screaming at it and trying to wake me up. Every fiber of my being was trying to wake up, but some force was holding me back. I had this goosebump sensation run up my spine, and I looked over to my other side of the room as my mom and her boyfriend half ran into the room to see what was wrong. My mom's boyfriend was a big dude, and he was prepared to whoop ass if it was an intruder. I saw the creature right as they entered. To this day, I believe it's a demon, and I don't believe it's gone for good. My brother was screaming, "There's a man! He's a snake! He's here to take me and Johnny!" Not my real name, but I'd prefer not to disclose that. My mom's boyfriend, we'll call him Jack, was a pretty ballsy dude and often bragged about the time he came back to life after 30 minutes when his truck was hit by a semi. Him being on the other side for those 30 minutes did something to him, though. Behind that tough guy shell, he was actually more afraid of what was out there in the world than you could imagine. Jack saw the whatever the fuck you can even call it in the corner after hearing my brother screaming, and I mean, he actually saw it. And what's more, he turned his head my way and saw me. Not the body in the bed snoring as all hell is going on in the same room, the me in the corner opposite the monster. He hesitated for a minute and then left to the other room. He came back with what appeared to be a really old book. It wasn't an old Bible, though. It was something different. He started reading words from it aloud and inching towards the demon. The demon seemed to be annoyed by this. At this point, I felt like my life force was somehow being drained, and felt even more restricted by whatever force was holding me in place. Jack turned towards my general direction, almost seeming to look through me at this point, like he couldn't see me anymore, and said in a reassuring tone, "God is sending us an extra pair of wings." He then slammed the book closed, and from it emanated this bright light. It engulfed the whole room, and I felt like chains were being ripped away from my astral body. I could see the bright light pushing the monster into the wall, and just like that, it was out of the room. The light continued to grow, and I felt like I was forced back into my body. Hours later, I woke up. I thought I had just had the craziest dream ever, but upon waking up, I saw my mom pacing in the living room, and Jack was cleaning away the stain on the wall. I felt that presence leave at that point, and didn't have another dream for the next 6 or so years, not even regular ones. But that was completely fine by me. I verified this story with both my mom and her boyfriend a couple years later, and my mom freaked out that I knew as much as I did. She saw me sitting there sleeping the whole time, after all. She didn't see what was in the other plane with me, but she knew it was there nonetheless. I still have questions, and over the years I've gotten some answers. I learned his name later on as well, from my brother. He was called Stahl. I haven't been able to dig up any information on that name, but can feel that fear every time I think or say that word. So I know that somehow my little brother was right. If you have any information that could help me solve this and get some closure, don't hesitate to comment. And if you ever have a run-in with Stahl, call a priest.